I'm Wilkinson, and you are watching Toastmaster Talk, seen every week at this time, brought to you by Toastmasters International, its members and clubs in Edmonton and the surrounding area. Our purpose on this show is to help you achieve the things in life that you feel are worthwhile by helping you improve your communication and leadership skills. As you know, no matter what you want to do in life, if you cannot communicate your ideas successfully, if you cannot get your point across, if you cannot get along well with people, you will not achieve your goals. Sooner or later, no matter what you want to do in life, achieve in life, you're going to have to probably take a leadership position. How do you get along with people as a leader, as against being a friend? These are the things that you can learn in our regular Toastmaster Club that meets every week. If you'd like to get more information on Toastmasters, just phone this number, 465-2833. And if you happen to miss writing it down this time, that number is also listed under Toastmasters in the white pages. But don't go away. This show, especially if you're interested in becoming a very successful business person, you'll want to stay tuned. For we have on this show a Toastmaster of renown, not only for what he's done in our organization, but for what he's done in business as well. Kirk Jensen is featured on this issue of Edmonton Business Magazine. Kirk, outstanding. Congratulations and welcome to our show.
Thank you very much, Neil.
It's good to have you here. I'm sure members in our viewing audience are wondering, well, Toastmasters and business. You know, just how did the two come together?
Neil, I've found, especially in the last few years, it's really important to be able to communicate and get across some of the things that your company can do as in service. We all know how important service is now in the 90s. And when you're talking to customers, and especially in my business where I'm in computers a lot, and a lot of people are a little leery about what exactly computers are about, it's very important for our company and myself as the president to be able to communicate to them on a simple level exactly what computers are and what they can do for themselves, for their companies. That's
not easy, because I know anytime I talk to anybody about computers, there's a lot of jargon I don't understand.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to put that down at a human level.
You're right, Neil.
Understandable level.
And computer people, and probably some other industries as well, have a hard time sometimes not talking in a lingo or a language that's all their own. You have to make sure that you can communicate at the understanding of the customer's level if you're going to supply that high level of service.
All right, let's say I'm a customer and you come in to try and sell me on your service. What are some of the things maybe you thought of before you came in, and things you're going to make sure you do during this interview to ensure that good communication, persuasive communication, I guess in this case, takes place?
That's right. Neil, the first thing you do in Toastmasters didn't only help me learn to speak, but it also helped me learn to listen. Listening is also a big part of Toastmasters because we evaluate our speeches, and we have a quiz master in the show. So the first thing I do when somebody comes in is I listen to them. What are some of the needs that they have, and what are some of the things that they want a computer to do for them? So from there, I'm able to interact with them and kind of help them lead me to where they want to go. So I'm not just directing, well, perhaps I'm just directing where we're going, but they're actually doing all the talking.
That's nice. So they sell themselves, in other words?
Exactly, yeah. And sooner or later, they're telling me, and they're starting to say, Kirk, yeah, this is what we're looking for. I understand now what this can do and this can do. This is what we don't need, and this is what we do need. And away we go.
You've got your sale.
Yes, sir.
When did you start your business, Kirk?
I started my business as an entrepreneur. I started in 1986, selling Stanley Cup hats when the Oilers were in the playoffs. Actually, it was in the 1984 Stanley Cup playoffs. That's when I started my own business. And
is the business called Gensess now that you?
Yeah, Gensess. It was Gensess Sales at the time because I wasn't sure which direction I was headed. I had taken engineering at university, so I was interested in the technical fields, but I was also very interested in marketing. So from selling hats to programming to selling computers, a natural progression, wouldn't you think?
Yes. And judging by the picture on the front of Edmonton Business Magazine, golfing is really your expertise, really where your company's interests lie?
Yes, that's right, where our company's interests lie. Actually, Neil, I'm a very avid golfer. My mother bought me a set of clubs thinking, Kirk, you're going to be in business one of these days, and golf is going to be important. And so she bought me a set of clubs, and now I've been able to use it as my business for helping golf courses with tee time management and all the other administrative duties that they have.
Where would your clients be?
My client started, actually, as the Camrose Golf Course, where I grew up.
Oh, yes.
I grew up in Camrose, and they asked me to write a little simple package for them for doing their handicapping. And fate had it that I had to move away to Houston to become a contractor there for developing a system all across North America. And I got back a year later, and they said, Kirk, a few of the clubs have been asking us, we'd like to...
Golf clubs.
Yes, golf clubs. Yeah. We'd like to also have this package. What do we do? Do we sell it to them? Do we give it to them? I said, well, I'll clean it up a little bit. And from there, it broadened outside of Alberta and started going outside to BC, then Canada, and now we've even had opportunities to go to Tokyo, to Germany, to France, to perhaps sell our software.
Incredible.
Yeah, and Toastmasters, again, has helped me with that.
Okay, well, let's go back. You started business, GenSys, in 1984. When did you join Toastmasters?
I joined Toastmasters in February of 1990.
Okay, well, when did you develop the golfing side of your business?
The golfing side actually became very much part of it in 1989.
1989. Okay, so you were in your business for a couple of years.
Yes, sir.
And it was growing. You were doing well. Why join Toastmasters? I mean, here's a successful businessman, good communicator. No doubt if you were selling Stanley Cup hats, you must have been a pretty good communicator, Kirk.
Yes, I had to communicate a lot of times there on the street waving those hats.
Yeah, I bet.
But I found that I was becoming into bigger boardrooms. I was getting to have to do presentations to associations. And I found that though I had a message, it wasn't clearly being said. It wasn't clearly being brought out. And I thought, my father had been in Toastmasters.
Oh, had he?
Yes. He had taken Toastmasters, and so I was familiar with it. And I'd gone through the Communication and Leadership Manual, which is the first 10 speeches we give as a Toastmaster. And I saw some of the things like speaking in earnest, voice projection, using gestures, and how to use visual aids. And a lot of my presentations, I need to use slides, and I need to be persuasive. So I said, well, this seems like a very professional organization, and I always like to give things a try. I'm a very open-minded person. I said, I'll go out there, and Jim Evans, who I was a professional associate with, said, Kirk, come on out to Northern Lights, the oldest and finest club.
Some people in our audience who are Toastmasters might debate that, but I have a lot of respect for the Northern Lights Toastmasters.
Yes.
I, too, joined Northern Lights Toastmasters.
Yes, that's very distinguished.
And I suppose you'd like to give out the phone number, would you, so that somebody's interested in joining Northern Lights?
Yes, actually a very exciting club to join. If you live on the south side of Edmonton or any part of Edmonton, I am Kirk Jensen, the president of the club, and give me a call at 438-4136. We meet every Wednesday at the Derrick Golf and Country Club, and we'd be pleased to have you come out and give me a call on the phone. Absolutely, Neil.
And in case you forget Kirk Jensen's phone number, look up the Toastmaster number in the white pages. And Peter Coswin, who has the Toastmaster phone at his home and it's on an answering machine, just let Peter know. Call 465-2833. Peter will give you Kirk's number.
Thank you, Neil.
Now, where were we? We were back at, you just joined Northern Lights Toastmasters
That's
Club.
right.
What feelings did you have walking into that first meeting?
The first feelings that I had were, and I won't tell, I had fear. It was the fear of the unknown. I thought, I'm coming into this place where all these people are going to be professional speakers. They're going to have their suits on, and it's going to be a very stiff atmosphere. I thought this is going to be a very structured atmosphere. That was my first impression, or the first thought I had as I walked in the door, that this is what it's going to be like.
And it wasn't.
And it was not, indeed. I came in the door, I was quickly greeted by a number of people, a number of Toastmasters, and they talked to me a little bit about the club and what was going to be happening during the meeting. To feel absolutely comfortable, I wouldn't be pushed into or pressed into saying anything or standing up to give any type of speech or anything, and then just relax, and at the end of the meeting we'll talk to you again and just see how you feel, and if you have any questions, ask the person beside me. But it was a very warm atmosphere, and I like to say a labyrinth for growth, where people are very supportive where you can try some different things. If you're not sure about your vocal variety, if you're not sure how you look when you're speaking, this is where you can go and be evaluated constructively and positively, where they can really help you become a better person.
So even though you felt it would be a very structured and very formidable and threatening atmosphere,
Yes, sir.
the members of the club just melted that away.
Oh,
Completely. And if anybody's watching now on television and thinking of joining Toastmasters, that hasn't changed, has it?
No.
If they go to your club or my club, any club,
Yeah.
that hasn't changed.
and I think as president of the club, and you have your area governors and division governors, they encourage that all the way down the line, so that every year that will be a very important part of a guest coming to a meeting, and that will never change. No.
So you saw the meeting. Did you join that night?
No, I didn't join that night.
No?
No,
What were your impressions of the meeting?
well, I remember they asked if I'd like to give some guest comments.
At the very end of the meeting.
End of the meeting.
What did that do to you?
Well, for a person that's been in business a long time, like I was thinking, I'll be able to do this, stand up for 10 seconds, say, yeah, I thought the meeting was very. It was an experience, a learning experience again, just to stand up for 10 seconds in front of this audience, the speakers. And but I said that I really enjoyed the meeting, and I look forward to coming back next week and seeing some other speakers and another meeting.
So that's in a sense, we do this with most of our Toastmaster meetings. For those of you who might be thinking of coming out to a club, that's all we'll ask them to do. In the first meeting, unless they want to do more, is just the 10-second guest comments at the end, which kind of loosens things up a little bit.
Yeah. And I think, Neil, as well, that goes all the way through Toastmasters, not just as coming in as a first-time guest. When you join a club, I was encouraged to give a speech, or encouraged to be part of the program, to be the timer, to be the odd counter. But I wasn't pushed into being anything.
Okay, so before you gave a speech then, maybe we should explain to the members of our viewing audience that in addition to the speakers, we also have people that keep track of how well the speakers are doing. And we believe in Toastmasters to stand up to be seen, speak out to be heard, and shut up to be appreciated. So therefore we have a timer. and some other functions, grammarian, which takes care of grammar, and awe counter, which takes care of counting the awes.
Right.
So we get a lot of feedback in Toastmasters. So that's what you were referring to. Why did you join Toastmasters? You saw the club, you saw the atmosphere. What kind of said, that's for me?
It was because I could see that being important for me, perhaps not at that moment. But I had been interviewed on television for just like a 30-second spot on my company,
Yes.
or as a part of the graduating committee. And I thought, boy, I wish I would have had some more practice or some public speaking, because they don't give you a lot of time. They say, we're on the air, and you're on. And they start asking you questions. So I wanted to join for the future, thinking, boy, if it ever comes up where I need something like that, I'll be ready. It's kind of a proactive move, shall we say. And so I said, for the future, Kirk, this is something that's very positive for you.
How long did it take for you to see results that you could apply immediately in your business? Did it take a year, 2 years? How long have you been in Toastmasters?
Been in Toastmasters for 4 years.
For 4 years. How long
Yes.
did it take for you to see results?
That would be something you could ask my mentor, but I felt results. The first speech I gave,
That's what counts, how you feel.
how I felt.
Yeah.
The first speech I gave was in the 3 weeks after I joined the club, and it was in the humor speech contest.
You really?
Yeah.
You dove right in, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I don't exactly recommend that to everybody, but I thought, yeah, if we're going to get our feet wet, let's get wet.
Good for you.
And I jumped right in there, and I learned a lot of things about, Kirk, you've got a lot of places to improve. And so I would say, I always liked getting the feedback from the people, and I would say almost within the first 2 or 3 months, Neil, for sure, I saw, and I felt more comfortable standing up.
Did you feel that not only in Toastmasters, but also in those boardroom presentations you're giving as well?
Yeah, on the boardroom presentations, when you're on the phone and you're talking, let's say, long distance to a client who's down in the States or who's in Prince Edward Island, and they ask you questions and you can't be humming and hawing, you've got to know your answers quickly. It allowed me to kind of formulate my thoughts, and I went right in with no problem at all.
You've touched an interesting concept here, because I'm sure people watching this show will be thinking, well, public speaking is to a large group. It doesn't apply to one-on-one or particularly over the phone, but that's not what you found.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I also found that when you learn how to use gestures, you learn how to use your voice. I found that on the phone, I never sit down. I talk on the phone. I'm always walking around and I'm giving gestures. And I can communicate better, again, just on the phone with some of the skills I've learned as when you're speaking to an audience, when you're speaking to a phone, where you can connect better.
This has helped you increase the size of your business, make more sales because of this technique?
Yes, it has. It's opened a lot of doors for us. I would say, and it's some trade things, some professional things that are happening for me right now that are very exciting, that I know that wouldn't be happening for me right now if it wasn't for Toastmasters. And I know it might sound like a lot of raw for Toastmasters, but I am positive. Like of the other organizations I've been in, this one, as Ralph Smedley said, our founder, said this one is dedicated to the individual. And I and myself that have been in the organization are living proof of that. It really is for the person to grow.
You know, that really became clear to me this year, Kirk, when I was traveling around visiting different Toastmasters clubs and also visiting other organizations as well. And I found those other organizations, albeit were very, very important, even the church I belong to. The main purpose is to give money to help other people in the world, to build a better world. And that's very laudable. But when you join Toastmasters, you don't have to be subservient to Toastmasters. Everybody rallies around you to help you achieve your goals.
That's right.
And that's something quite different, isn't it?
Yeah. And again, not to take away from the other organizations, but for ours, that's...
Yeah. So if somebody is in our viewing audience right now and is thinking, gee, I need to become a better communicator, a better speaker, wants to be successful in business like you have, then we're not going to come in and say, you must follow our rules.
No.
We're going to say, here's the program, you can grow with it. And let's talk about how you grew then, Kirk. You dove right into the speech contest, and in 3 months, and all of a sudden you felt this confidence growing. Where did you go from there, and what happened?
Again, you can grow at your own pace. I was encouraged to go to a club officer position, which is called the Vice President of Education, and which kind of sets out the program and gets the speakers and encourages different people to be part of the program. And that was a really exciting time for me because there was 2 other members, Doug Smilsky and Nancy Hurst, were running for that position as well. So we were having election night. And
competition.
Exactly. And if I'm ever thinking of going into politics, or if anybody's ever thinking of going into politics, there's some things that you have to do to win over the delegates or the assembly. So we had an election night, and I had the old tuxedo on, and I came out the Rocky theme, and rah, 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 and the spotlights were going everywhere, and the balloons. Nancy had her cakes, Doug had his big signs. It was a really exciting night, and I learned a lot about campaigning to the assembly and trying to get your message across to get the confidence of the voters. So that was my first assignment, was the VP of Northern Lights.
I imagine that forced you totally to place yourself in someone else's shoes. So did that help you think of your customers, focus a little more on your customers' needs and wants because you did that?
That's a good point, Neil, because you have to have empathy for the people you're putting onto the program.
Good word, yes.
You have to also have that feeling or that empathy for your customers. And when you're growing and stretching yourself, let's say at Toastmasters, then you're also doing that professionally, almost subconsciously. And yeah, it did help me through that.
You weren't in Toastmasters very long when you took this leadership position. How long?
A year.
A year. Well, that's obviously your talents were recognized quickly. In that first year, did you do more than just be involved in that speech contest?
That first year.
Did you go through how many projects did you get through in the...
Yes, actually, you were the chairman of the speech contest I was involved with.
Oh, really?
It was for the audience, it's Tall Tales.
Oh, yes.
And you get to kind of step outside yourself and talk about what you might have been or could have been or want to be in your biggest dreams. And I won the club speech contest that year, and I also won the area, which consists of 6 clubs.
I remember. That's because I bribed all the judges. You won it hands down, I think.
You, Neil.
Well, okay, this was another type of learning experience which is available to Toastmasters. How did that help you in your day-to-day activities?
I would say, Neil, what it is it keeps stretching your comfort zone. So now you're not only in the comfort of the club, but now I'm in front of an area which has 6 clubs and some people that I don't know out there, and I'm in a contest where there's strict rules and guidelines and timing. So it made me stretch more, again, with Toastmasters. So again, when I stepped out professionally, I had already been, if I had to go to that type of situation again with the pressure of being a small businessman and giving presentations is that I'd already been there.
In a tall tales contest, you almost do things that are almost ridiculous, I guess, in gestures and words and bodies. So when maybe you're called upon in a board meeting to express yourself a little more, to get a point across, you feel very comfortable doing that. You wouldn't go as far, of course.
Right.
But the fact you stretch beyond that, then it's easy. You feel very comfortable stretching yourself out to really make a point and to become a more likable, more believable person, I guess. Eh?
That's true, and because of that, humor is also a big part of communicating well. And because you can do it with humor, I know that as well has helped me because of the tabletop, or tall tales, I should say.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. So you're in Toastmasters a year, became an educational vice president. You're a leader now in Toastmasters. Totally different from communication.
Yeah.
How did this help you, Kurt?
I would say, Neil, the next thing that, like I went into being an area governor, where now I'm a member of 6 clubs, or I oversee 6 clubs in an area. And from there, old Area 14, if there's anybody out there watching, we're still the best, is that you learn how to build a team. As an area governor, you learn how to bring everybody together. And we had a very special area that we always have had a special area, but that was a very special year for me because we brought a lot of people together. And we did some things. We were variety night, Toastmasters, we can have fun. And we did a skit on Star Trek A14. And that helped me learn how to build a team and as well how to let go of some things. Like, I don't have to have total control because you're too busy as a person to do that.
So, delegation. You learned delegation, did you?
And that, I know for some of the viewers out there, that is a big step for some of us.
Why is delegation so difficult for so many people? Why does it hold so many business people back?
I know for me, Neil, that nobody could do it as good as I could do it.
Yeah.
So I had to do it. And I think that's the thing, is if you can just learn to let go of that, and that there are other people that can do it as well as you can, perhaps with some supervision to make sure that they're on the track that you like to see them. But let go of that being perfect, you're the only person that can do it. I think that's the big thing, is if we can, just let go of that.
How far do you let go initially?
Since I've joined Toastmasters.
No, how far, when you delegate something, just how much rope do you give them? Maybe there's some people in the audience now that say, gee, I'd like to delegate, but I'm like Kirk. I'm afraid to let go. And just how far do you let them run on their own? How much supervision do you give them initially?
What I like to do is to do it in stages. You give them some responsibility where they have to produce and give hard results. And you see how well they do with that. And if they've taken that responsibility and they've done a good job, then you give them some more. And then you give them some more. And I was surprised how much they could, how much responsibility I could let go to them. And so it's almost kind of an evolution for me, that I had to do it probably as much for me as the other person, that I had to do it slowly.
They rise to the occasion.
Yes.
Getting back to what you said about teams, I'd like to come back to that because there was an article in the Edmonton Journal this last weekend that talked about getting people, good team players, working for you and your company. And the question was, asking now the person applying for the job, asking them to describe just how they brought a team together to achieve successful results. It's so critical today. And in Toastmasters, you were able to do that.
Yes.
Now, what did you, when they asked you to be a team leader, how did you feel about that?
Excited.
Okay.
I had seen what Toastmasters had done for me and taken it to different levels. And let's take it to the next thing I went into. I was the publicity chairman for the Spring Convention in Edmonton.
Oh, yes.
In 1994. And the team that we had for that convention was one that I will always remember. We shared a lot of things. And the team, it just came together. It was allowing certain people with their strengths to have responsibility, that we always listened to everybody, that we always had respect for everybody. And with that, the team just came together, and it surged and it built on each other.
Well, Kirk, why would you recommend that somebody join Toastmasters and get a leadership position and develop their team skills within Toastmasters? Why not just go and develop their team skills in the company that they're in right now? Why join Toastmasters?
Why join Toastmasters?
To develop team skills, leadership skills.
To develop team skills is because it's okay to make mistakes. in business. It's okay to make mistakes in Toastmasters. You can ask yourself as a small business owner, or you can go ask your boss, where does he want you to make mistakes? In business or at Toastmasters? He'll say Toastmasters. So, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn. So I would encourage anybody there that's a small businessman or somebody that wants to move up into management is to go into Toastmasters and use it as a stepping stone to learn to make mistakes and learn to stretch yourself. And it's okay if you do something wrong, because you'll get positive feedback. Nobody's going to say, shoot you down or anything or fire you. They'll encourage you. And you learn so much more by your adversity and your failures than your mistakes than you do your successes. And Toastmasters allows you to do that.
That's fascinating. We just got a minute left, Kirk. Tell us about some of the other leadership positions that you've held in Toastmasters and maybe how quickly you benefited from those.
Again, Neil, it's working with teams going up to the different levels where you have more responsibility. I was a public relations officer for District 42, which is Alberta and Saskatchewan. Again, it was building the team that I was at a different level, and I had to have coordinators or quadrant leaders that also had people reporting to them that were reporting to me. And from there, you just learn to be more of an administrator and a team builder as well, and keeping everybody happy and making sure you're always listening.
Did you develop any writing skills in that? Did you have to write articles and so on?
Actually, that's a good point. Writing speeches is another talent in itself that you can learn, and how to have an opening, a body, and how to make sure you have a nice strong close that ties back to the opening. You can use that again in even day-to-day conversation, which I've known has made a difference. So yes, it helped me in writing as well.
Well, Kirk, I want to congratulate you on being such a successful business person. We need business heroes like you in Edmonton that are bringing economic benefits, bringing dollars into this city from not only across Canada but around the world. And I really wish you, and I know all Toastmasters do, and I'm sure everybody watching wishes you continued success in your business. We need entrepreneurial heroes like you in this city to make it an important city. And thank you for sharing your Toastmasters experiences and how it's helped you become the businessman that you are today.
Thank you very much, Neil.
Look forward to seeing you on another show.
You bet.
Well, that's Toastmaster Talk for this week. We hope you'll join us same time next week. And in the meantime, if you'd like to get more information on Toastmasters, please phone 465-2833. If you don't have a pencil handy, don't hesitate, please, to look that number up in the white pages of the Edmonton telephone directory. I know there must be some people watching us right now that have aspirations to be very, very successful in business. You may want to be like Kirk Jensen, and I don't blame you. But how does one go about it? There's an awful lot of fear out there. You may be feeling it right now. But if you come to a Toastmasters club, you'll be very impressed with the program. You will improve your communication, your leadership skills. You will overcome the fear of public speaking, and your self-esteem will grow. So that I promise you, and I know Kirk would back me up, there won't be any communication and leadership situation that you will shrink from. Product knowledge, anyone can gain. But the rest, Toastmasters can help you. You'll become successful. Look forward to seeing you next week on Toastmaster Talk.